Spiritual Instruction of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Importance of the work. Worshipping with the instruments of thought, word, and body, the sacred lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, the very embodiment of the beginningless, infinite, supreme Brahman, Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. I have gathered this bouquet of the flowers of his instructions for the benefit of those who are foremost among the seekers of liberation and who are adored by learned persons, in order that they might adorn themselves with it and attain salvation. This book is an epitome of the immortal words of that great soul, Sri Ramana Maharshi, whose teachings entirely dispelled the doubts and wrong notions of this humble one, even as the sun dispels darkness. The subject of this book is that eternal Brahman, which shines as the pinnacle and heart of all the Vedas and Agamas. That incomparable self-realization, Atma Siddhi, which is praised by all the Upanishads and which is the supreme good to be sought by all noble aspirants, Brahmavids, is the theme of this work. Sadhu Natananda. Chapter-1. Instruction. Upadesa. What are the marks of a real teacher, a true Satguru? Steady abidance in the self, looking at all with an equal eye, unshakable courage at all times, in all places and circumstances. What are the marks of an earnest disciple? An intense longing for the removal of sorrow and attainment of joy, and an intense aversion for all kinds of mundane pleasure. What are the characteristics of instruction? The word Upadesa means near the place or seat. The Guru, who is the embodiment of that which is indicated by the terms Sat, Chit, and Ananda, prevents the disciple who, on account of his acceptance of the forms of the objects of the senses, has swerved from his true state and is consequently distressed and buffeted by joys and sorrows, from continuing to swerve from his true state. And thus, the Guru establishes him in his own real nature without differentiation. Upadesa also means showing a distant object quite near. This instruction is brought home to the disciple that Brahman, the absolute consciousness, which he believes to be distant and different from himself, is near and not different from himself. If it be true that the Guru is one's own self, Atman, what is the principle underlying the doctrine which says that however learned a disciple may be, or whatever occult powers he may possess, he cannot attain self-realization or Atma Siddhi without the grace of the Guru. Although in absolute truth, the state of the Guru is that of oneself, it is very hard for the self, which has become the individual soul or jiva through ignorance, to realize its true state or nature without the grace of the Guru. All mental concepts are controlled by the mere presence of the real Guru. If he were to say to one who arrogantly claims that he has seen the further shore of the ocean of learning, or one who claims arrogantly that he can perform deeds which are well nigh impossible, "Yes, you learnt all that is to be learnt, but have you learned to know yourself? And you who are capable of performing deeds which are almost impossible, have you seen yourself?" And they will bow their heads in humility and remain silent. Thus it is evident that only by the grace of the Guru and by no other accomplishment is it possible to know oneself. What are the marks of the Guru's grace? It is beyond words or thoughts. If that is so, how is it that it is said that the disciple realizes his true state by the Guru's grace? It is like the elephant which wakes up on seeing a lion in its dream. Even as the elephant wakes up at the mere sight of the lion, so also is it certain that the disciple wakes up from the sleep of ignorance into the wakefulness of true knowledge through the Guru's benevolent look of grace. What is the significance of the saying that the nature of the real Guru is that of the Supreme Lord? In the case of the individual soul which desires to attain the state of true knowledge or the state of Godhood, Ishvara, and with that object always practices devotion, when the individual's devotion has reached a mature stage, the Lord, who is the witness of that individual soul and identical with it, comes forth in human form with the help of Sat Chit Ananda. His three natural features, and form and name, which he also graciously assumes, and in the guise of blessing the disciple, absorbs him in himself. According to this doctrine, the Guru can truly be called the Lord. How then did some great persons attain knowledge without a Guru? To a few mature persons, the Lord shines as the light of knowledge and imparts awareness of the truth. What is the end of devotion, of bhakti, and the path of Siddhanta? It is to learn the truth that all one's actions performed with unselfish devotion, with the aid of the three purified instruments of body, speech, and mind, in the capacity of the servant of the Lord, becomes the Lord's actions, and to stand forth free from the sense of I and mine. This is also the truth of what the Siddhantins call para bhakti, or supreme devotion, or living in the service of God. What is the end of the path of knowledge, of jnana or Vedanta? It is to know the truth that the I is not different from the Lord, Ishvara, and to be free from the feeling of being the doer, the ahamkara. How can it be said that the end of both these paths is the same? Whatever the means, the destruction of the sense I and mine is the goal. And as these are interdependent, the destruction of either of them causes the destruction of the other. Therefore, in order to achieve that state of silence, muna, which is beyond thought and word, either the path of knowledge, which removes the sense of I, or the path of devotion, which removes the sense of mine, will suffice. So there is no doubt that the end of the path of devotion and knowledge is one and the same. What is the mark of the ego? The individual soul in the form of I is the ego. The self, Atman, which is of the nature of consciousness or supreme intelligence, Chit, has no sense of I, nor does the insentient body possess a sense of I. The mysterious appearance of a delusive ego between the supreme intelligence of consciousness and the insentient is the root cause of all these troubles. Upon the destruction of the false, by whatever means, that which really exists will be seen as it is. This is called liberation, mukti, or enlightenment, moksha.